Hello, Alabama. Dabo Swinney revealed that Alabama almost hired him before Clemson's milestone. A missed and unexpected opportunity? What would that be like? Would this influence his future as Bama's head coach, before Deboer's hiring? The history of college football is replete with moments that, in the heat of the moment, seem like disappointments, but which, over time, reveal themselves to be part of an even greater destiny. One such chapter recently emerged from the words of Clemson coach Dabo Swinney, reflecting on his career and how close he came to trading the Tigers' orange for Alabama's red. The account reveals not only a missed opportunity for Swinney, but also a series of reflections on how small decisions can shape the history of entire programs. In 2003, when Mike Price was announced as Alabama's new head coach, Swinney was among those hoping to join the Crimson Tide's coaching staff. At the time, he had just come off a stint with Gene Stallings in Tuscaloosa and saw the perfect opportunity to return to his hometown roots. Coach Price told me he wanted to hire a veteran assistant, Swinney recounted during his weekly radio show. The seemingly simple statement carried the weight of profound disappointment. He confessed to his wife, "It just wasn't meant to be." That moment, however, would be just the beginning of a chain of events that would seal Swinney's future, albeit far from Tuscaloosa. A few days later, Tommy Bowden called Swinney offering him a position on the Clemson coaching staff. It was an unexpected proposal, but one that would change everything. Meanwhile, at Alabama, Mike Price never managed a single game. The coach's dismissal in May of that year, mired in off-field controversies, paved the way for Nick Saban to take over years later and build the empire we know today. For Swinney, that phone call from Bowden was more than luck, it was, in his own words, a divine sign. "God knows best, and I'm going to stop getting mad at things I don't understand at the moment," he declared. And he was right. Had he gotten the job at Alabama, he would likely be standing on the sideline today, never having experienced the glory of leading Clemson to the pinnacle of college football. More than 2 decades have passed since that pivotal decision, and now Swinney is about to take the field for his 300th game as a Tigers coach or assistant. It's an impressive milestone, especially considering he'd barely even arrived at Clemson. Under his leadership, the program won 2 national championships, 10 ACC titles, and established itself as an unbeatable powerhouse in the college scene. His story is a clear example of how chance can redirect lives and legacies, transforming an initial disappointment into an epic journey. But what if Swinney had accepted the offer to Alabama? Would he have been the natural successor to Nick Saban when the legendary coach decided to call it a day? This question becomes even more relevant when we consider the current situation in Tuscaloosa. With Deboer taking over after Saban's retirement, Swinney's dream of one day leading the Crimson Tide has become more distant. Not that he needs it, of course. His career at Clemson has already placed him among the greatest coaches in the history of the sport. However, it's impossible not to imagine how his presence could have impacted Alabama's future. On the other hand, Deboer's meteoric rise within the program makes it clear that the team is in good hands. Deboer has demonstrated tactical skill and a remarkable ability to maintain the legacy of excellence left by Saban. With impressive wins in his first 2 games this year, he's quickly gaining the trust of Crimson Tide fans. For Swinney, this means any chance of returning to Alabama has become virtually non-existent. So, as Swinney celebrates his 300th game at Clemson, we can look back and see how significant that closed door in Tuscaloosa was. Alabama continued its path to glory under Saban and now Deboer, while Swinney built a dynasty of his own at Clemson. Both programs are in great hands, but this story serves as a reminder that football, as in life, has its unexpected surprises. And who knows, maybe someday we'll see Swinney again at Alabama? Speaking of former coach Saban. On Monday, during the Monday morning quarterback club meeting, Saban did something unusual. He admitted that not even he, with all his experience and tactical genius, could have imagined or executed a play like the one made by left tackle Caden Proctor in the epic game against Georgia. The play in question occurred during Alabama's 24-21 victory over the Bulldogs in Athens, a tense matchup that raged until the final minute. Ty Simpson's pass to Caden Proctor, which culminated in a devastating run by the imposing player, quickly went viral on social media. Proctor, who normally goes unnoticed as an offensive blocker, surprised everyone by running over Georgia defenders, advancing down the sideline, and falling just short of the pylon at the opponent's 2-yard line. It was a trick play as unexpected as it was effective, and it helped set the tone for the Crimson Tide's victory. When asked about the moment, Saban was full of praise for his player and the coaching staff responsible for devising the strategy. For his size, he's as athletic as you'll find, Saban said of Proctor. But it was his next statement that caught everyone's attention. So, to do that, I think it was incredibly ingenious on their part, and I can't say I would have been smart enough to do that. Yes, Nick Saban admitted that this play was beyond his imagination. This statement is significant because Saban has always been known as a relentless perfectionist, someone who analyzes every detail of the game and always strives to be one step ahead of his opponents. Admitting that a play escaped his strategic vision is a clear acknowledgement of the talent and creativity involved in its execution. And while Proctor was the protagonist, Saban directed his greatest praise toward the team's coaches, especially offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb. Grubb, who has been widely praised for his ability to innovate and create dynamic offensive schemes, received a glowing review from Saban. The executions, 13 of 19 on third down early in the game, 8 seeded on third down against a multiple defense, he remarked. This is a very good defense. There's a lot going on. It requires a lot of planning and preparation. Proctor's play, therefore, was not just a moment of spontaneity, it was the result of a carefully crafted plan, a demonstration of how collective effort can lead to moments of individual brilliance. What makes this play even more special is the context. Caden Proctor, whose primary role is to protect the quarterback and open up running lanes, rarely gets the opportunity to shine individually. He's an offensive lineman, a position often relegated to the shadows of the game. However, when called upon to play a different role, Proctor showed that his contribution goes beyond what is expected of a player at his position. His brutal run, combined with his surprising agility for someone his size, was a reminder that football is a sport of unexpected moments and unlikely heroes. Saban also praised Ty Simpson, the quarterback who threw the opening pass to Proctor. Completing 24 of 38 passes for 276 passing yards and 2 touchdowns, Simpson had a solid night, but it was the trick play that truly stood out. For Saban, the success of this play reflects not only the individual talent of the players involved, but also the really good coaching that allowed everything to come together perfectly. Saban's admiration for this play speaks volumes about the current state of the Alabama football program. It's a team that continues to evolve, blending tradition with innovation, and one that's willing to take risks to surprise opponents. While Saban may not have dreamed up this play alone, he recognizes the value of surrounding himself with creative minds and trusting his players to execute bold ideas. And when that happens, the result is something that transcends the game itself, transforming individual moments into collective memories that resonate long afterward. Caden Proctor may never repeat a play like that again, but his run in Athens will be etched in Alabama history as an example of how the unexpected can become extraordinary. The duel between Alabama and Vanderbilt this weekend carries much more weight than a simple regular season game. It pits two completely different stories in college football against each other. On one side, Diego Pavia, the Vanderbilt quarterback who became a sensation and is already considered a cult hero within the SEC. On the other, Ty Simpson, the Alabama coach under Deboer, who is building his own solid Heisman campaign and who, at this point, seems to have all the necessary elements to become the true favorite. It's undeniable that Pavia has captured everyone's attention. The numbers prove it: over 1,200 passing yards, 13 touchdown passes, and a central role on virtually every possession for the Commodores. Last year, he was the one who led Vanderbilt's historic victory over Alabama, a wound still raw in the memory of Tuscaloosa fans. That loss, so soon after a triumph over Georgia, exposed a Crimson Tide that seemed rudderless at times. But the 2025 scenario is quite different. With Deboer at the helm and Ty Simpson fully assuming responsibility, Alabama arrives more mature, more balanced, and with restored confidence. The narrow victory over Georgia last weekend demonstrated this. The Crimson Tide is no longer the team that oscillated between inspired performances and inexplicable slumps. Now, there is a consistency, an offensive and defensive organization that make Alabama once again a real contender for a national title. And that's where Ty Simpson comes in. The Tide quarterback not only boasts impressive statistics, completing nearly 70% of his passes and throwing 11 touchdowns without a single interception, but also displays a calmness reminiscent of the greats who have worn the Alabama jersey. In 4 games, he not only fulfilled his role but also demonstrated leadership, reading the game, and efficiency. All of this in an SEC that doesn't forgive mistakes. Bookmakers are already beginning to recognize this. While Pavia is emerging as an unlikely and charismatic story, Simpson appears to be the more solid bet. He's tied for Heisman odds with some big names, but with a convincing victory over Vanderbilt, he should firmly take over as the favorite. After all, it's not just about individual stats, it's about winning big games, and Alabama will have plenty of those throughout the season. The contrast between the two quarterbacks is clear. Pavia is the unlikely veteran, coming off transfers and quiet seasons, who now shines in a program unaccustomed to this kind of prominence. Simpson, on the other hand, is the classic Crimson Tide representative, polished talent, embedded in a strong system, and with all the pressure of carrying the weight of tradition. In terms of narrative, both sell different stories, but on the field, logic tends to prevail. While Vanderbilt has managed to surprise in the past, that doesn't mean the same scenario will repeat itself. Deboer's Alabama is in a different state, more prepared, less vulnerable. And if Pavia truly wants to turn this season into a serious Heisman race, they'll have to contend with a defense that has been showing improvement week after week. Saturday's game, therefore, is more than a test for Pavia, it's Simpson's chance to cement himself as the name of the season. If he secures the victory and repeats his recent efficiency, the Alabama quarterback could turn an individual duel into a collective milestone. And therein lies the difference. While Vanderbilt dreams of continuing an improbable story, Alabama has a clear path ahead, sustained by tradition, consistency, and the talent of a quarterback who is already beginning to seem inevitable. The story may begin with Diego Pavia, but it has every chance of ending with Ty Simpson in the spotlight, not just as a candidate, but as a real Heisman favorite. Share your thoughts.